Welcome to Guthli Talks, and today here we have one of the titan of the advertising industry, Mr. Josy Paul.
Right, I always say that creativity is the return gift of empathy. If you can feel, you can create. I realized young people were saying in 2009, don't tell me, involve me. And social media and two-way mediums were helping. That's when I said maybe advertising, which is just one way, is sort of old-fashioned and is not connecting with the young India. And which is when I came up with the thought of create ads, not ads. How do you receive the future? You receive the future by surrendering, by giving, letting go, and saying, okay, now come and take me, tell me.
So I would straightly dive into the question. How were your initial days like when you started off in this field, or how we would refer as the Guthli days? So how was it?
As in, how was it meaning?
Like, how did you get into advertising? Was it like through, like, a lot of people looked at others and they got into advertising? A lot of people landed by mistake. So how did your start happen? Like, how did you start into advertising?
Yeah, actually it was an accident. I'd gone to Jahangir Art Gallery to watch some of the art works, and I saw that there was no art over there. That day the ad club had taken over.
Oh, great.
So everywhere there was only ads.
Right.
And I was in college, I was studying physics in Xavier's.
Oh, wow.
And I realized that there's something else called advertising, and I saw all these amazing pieces of work. And there was this one guy whose work was really fabulous. And I said, I'm going to work for him. So when I finished physics, I went looking for him.
Oh, wow, wonderful. Yeah. So, can we know who it was?
It's a guy called Kersi Kathrak. He's like a godfather of advertising.
Oh, wonderful. Got it, sir. So great. So this was one personal question of mine. Like, you have this black hat, wherever you go, and all of your photos and everything. Yeah. So it's like a part of your personal brand. What is the idea behind? Is there a specific message or something like a?
There's no message. There's no message. It's just it's all very organic. You don't plan these things.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the late 80s, I'd gone for a trek around the Annapurna.
Oh wow! Wonderful.
I couldn't finish it, but some things happened. There was some event that happened there, which made me feel I should become a unofficial ambassador for Nepal.
Oh,
so I began to wear a Nepalese cap when I came back. I felt that the people of Nepal were not being sort of spoken about. So I said, what if I could speak for them? But then what happened was I was getting into trouble with the local Nepalese because they thought I was Nepalese and was speaking to me in that way. But I could not respond. So I said, this cap's getting into trouble, so let me change the cap a bit. So I asked a friend of mine who's like a small-time designer to cut the cap in half. And since then I've been wearing it.
Oh, wonderful. What a story. What a story. So now that you've shared a story that says that you have that empathy in you, right? And every ad filmmaker, everyone who's into advertising is known to have that empathy. So how important is empathy in your whole creative process and cracking those briefs and executing the idea?
I think that's the starting point, right? I always say that creativity is the return gift of empathy.
Wow,
if
wonderful.
you can feel, you can create. So the important thing is to listen, look at the world, sense it,
right, sir.
Feel it, and then something happens. And then you don't know why you write or why you create.
Right.
It's just like life is the ink with which you write. Yeah.
Wow. I really love the line that creativity is the result of empathy, right?
Yeah.
So I love that line. So another philosophy of yours, or a line that is really famous, is that acts, not ads, right? So how do you determine when a brand's message needs an act rather than the traditional advertising? So how do you decipher that whole thing?
No, this happened actually. These are all organic and accidental. It happened when I started BBDO, and I had a sort of moment of epiphany in front of the Taj after the 2611 thing, where I did something in front of the Taj, and I got about 1,000 people following me. And I realized that maybe there's another way to create engagement.
Right.
And that's when I realized young people were saying in 2009, 2010, don't tell me, involve me. And social media and, two-way mediums were helping. That's when I said maybe, advertising, which is just one way, is sort of old-fashioned and is not connecting with the young India. And which is when I came up with the thought of create ads, not ads.
So do you think that in today's time also, like, are the ads still in a way like one-way communication, they're not connecting to the youth properly, or that has changed? What is your view on that?
I think it's all connecting. There's a lot of good stuff out there. So I think young people are creating for young people.
Absolutely.
So that's fabulous. It's all good.
So in past 1 year, any one ad that stood out for you, or you really loved that ad, which one would that be?
I saw recently an ad for Stay Free sanitary napkin, where the mother tells the young boy to go and buy the Stay Free pad, and I thought that was really good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wonderful. So you talked about BBDO in between, right? So how do you cultivate a creative environment in an agency now that everyone, especially youngsters, are very keen on starting their own agency, right? So how do you build that culture where everyone is open to put in their ideas, their whole creativity into it? So how do you build that culture in an agency?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, when I started an agency called David, before I started BBDO, I started David because I found an old diary of mine in which, when I was in college, I'd written my mission. And the mission was to create an environment so fertile that even if you were to sow a seed of doubt, it would flower into something beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, to create an environment so fertile that even if you were to sow a seed of doubt, it would flower into something beautiful. And so, for me, that has always been my mission, to create cultures and environments that allow people to thrive.
Absolutely.
So, we do it in many ways, but the most important way is by removing any form of judgment, and letting people express themselves.
Right. Got it. So one of your famous campaigns has been for Ariel, Share the Load, right? So could you just take us through the process of how that idea came and like what was the whole creative process behind it? Yeah,
so that's been one of our sort of interesting things that have happened in our lives. And there's a lot of magic,
Right, absolutely.
in the business, and you can't fully put it to a process. Because if there was a clear formula and if there was a clear process, everyone would be doing amazing things.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right? So there is the mysterious and the beautiful and the unsaid and things that you cannot fully get as why something happens.
Right.
You follow the same process that you always have, but sometimes it's like a gift is given to you, like somebody is trying to bless you. So it's that kind of stuff. Anyway, but the starting point was when Ariel came to us and said the detergent can wash away the toughest stains in just one wash. Yeah, and what we did was, while that was a very strong performance statement, how do you make it an emotional statement?
Exactly.
So we have something called the white room, and in the white room everything is white. When you sit there, people begin to talk about their lives. And as we were talking about our lives and what it means to who does the laundry, what happens, one of our young planners came with a really good data point. And she said that, do you know, in India, men spend only 19 minutes doing household chores and women spend 5.5 hours. And we said that's injustice, right? So what can we do about it? And that's how the thought came of, is laundry only a woman's job? Share the load. Yeah. So it's one of those things, like when you have these sessions, it unlocks new memories.
Correct.
And it's a different form of research. I called it emotional archaeology.
Wow, I love the whole idea of the white room. Right? So it's really wonderful. So one thing, like you have worked on such famous campaigns, like successful campaigns. So how do you not let the success of a previous campaign put that pressure on you to sustain that result? So how do you not let that happen, and interfere a whole creative process? So how do you do that?
You do that by saying, hey, I never did this. I'm just a medium.
Right.
I got lucky. So you got to sort of allow the world to come in, and you got to surrender to what is happening around you.
Right.
And through that you receive. You're like an antenna.
Yep.
You receive what's going on around you.
Right.
And from that you create the next thing. You don't hang on to the past.
Correct.
The past is already there. Nobody can take it from you.
Right.
But what about the future, right? How do you receive the future? You receive the future by surrendering, by giving, letting go, embracing, and saying, okay, now come and take me, tell me.
So I have to tell this, I'm loving this conversation. Like, I might not be able to express it, but the amount of insights I'm getting from this conversation is something I'm very grateful for. So one question, another question would be, like a very common question that every creative professional gets is, how do you come over your creative block? What is the whole process?
Yeah, I think the concept of a creative block is because you think you're the answer.
Wow.
When you think you're the answer, you feel, oh shit, I didn't have the answer. But if you say you're not the answer, and that everyone around you is a part of you and can contribute, or that the world outside, there are times I've sat with guys who are giving away peanuts, chanawalas.
Yeah.
I've sat on top of buses. I just feel that when you get out and believe in the other person and that everyone has a story, something is given to you.
Right.
And then when you come back, you're rich,
Right.
and then there never was a block because you never thought you were the person involved. You're just a medium.
Yeah, loved it, sir, loved it. So I wouldn't take much of time, so and that is it with my questions. And thank you so very much for doing this episode, sir. And I would love to talk more, about advertising with you, but you have a session also next,
Sure.
so I don't want to take much of your time.
Pleasure,
So
man.
thank you so very much for doing this, sir. Thank you so
Cheers.
very much, sir. Thank you, sir. If you enjoyed today's chat, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your fellow creatives. Stay tuned for more insights, more inspiration, and more behind the scenes magic in the world of branding and advertising. And always remember, every journey starts with a Guthli.